Thanks for inviting me to your annual conference, and I regret that I cannot be with you in person. If Delaware was not right at the end of our legislative session, I would be there. Your conference is an important part of advancing employment outcomes for people with disabilities. And because of your efforts every day, more individuals with disabilities in every state have the opportunity to achieve employment and inclusion in their communities. And I'd like to take this opportunity to applaud you for your efforts. I share your passion for this issue of empowering people with disabilities. In July of 2012, I became chair of the National Governors Association and began my year-long initiative, A Better Bottom Line, Employing Individuals with Disabilities. And I chose this topic because I believe that states, in close partnership with businesses and other employers, have a duty to ensure individuals with disabilities are included in employment settings alongside people without disabilities. Every citizen should be empowered to achieve their full potential. And I know that APSE or APSE has focused on integrated employment and career advancement opportunities for people with disabilities for a long time. And I'm counting on you to support state efforts to continue the momentum that we've all started and that we've built upon over the past year through the NGA Chairs Initiative. Now, let me tell you a little more about what the NGA Initiative accomplished during this past year. Since last July, my team and NGA staff have conducted more than 60 meetings and interviews with subject matter experts, including state practitioners, to inform the initiative. In the fall of 2012, we hosted 2 expert roundtables, bringing together stakeholders to inform the initiative. I chaired those meetings, and my fellow governor, South Dakota Governor Dennis Daugaard, joined me. That was just one of the many examples of the bipartisan support for this issue. The first roundtable brought together 30 national advocacy organizations, including yours, to help frame the issues related to employment from an advocate's perspective. The next roundtable brought together a total of 30 participants representing self-advocates, business leaders, large and small, research organizations, federal agencies, and state policymakers. A few months later, at the NGA winter meeting, when all governors come together in Washington, D.C., I hosted 2 sessions dedicated to this topic. One was the opening plenary, where we had the CEO of Walgreens tell governors why employing people with disabilities is better for the bottom line. The second was a Sunday morning plenary session moderated by PBS anchor Judy Woodruff. The reaction from governors was very positive. And this spring, NGA hosted a total of 33 state teams and 4 governors at the NGA Institutes on Employing People with Disabilities. We held 2 of them, one on the West Coast and one on the East, both following the same agenda. And that agenda was framed around the 5 areas of focus that bubbled to the top throughout our roundtables, interviews, and the literature review of the research in this field. Those 5 areas are, number 1, make employing people with disabilities part of the state workforce strategy. Number 2, find and support more businesses in hiring and retaining people with disabilities. Number 3, states ought to be model employers. Number 4, prepare youth with disabilities for careers. And 5, make the best use of limited resources for supporting employment for people with disabilities. That includes making the best use of federal resources, as there are numerous federal programs from several different agencies which affect disability employment efforts in states. And it also includes connecting to the private sector and the foundation community resources that can help support this work. The idea was for states to hear from each other about the common challenges and best practices related to disability employment and how these practices may be replicated across the country. Both Highmark in Pittsburgh and Microsoft in Seattle hosted us on site and engaged a panel of business executives to highlight what states can do to make it more likely for businesses to hire people with disabilities. Hearing that level of feedback was not only informative, but very powerful. And the number one thing we heard from business was that they welcome employing people with disabilities, but they need a good partner. And we are now armed with best practices from states and recommendations from businesses to share. Which brings me to the final deliverable from the initiative. Based on the insights that we gathered from businesses and states over the year, the NGA developed a blueprint for governors to guide states on ways to support businesses in hiring and retaining more people with disabilities. The blueprint is structured around those same 5 areas as the sections of the blueprint. The sections contain both insights and recommendations from the Chair's initiative and concrete examples of what states are already doing. I encourage you to use the blueprint, which will be posted on the NGA website in August, as you support the work going on in states. I know that you are making an important difference in advancing this work across the country every day. Congratulations on the good work you do continually to improve the lives of people with disabilities, and I hope you have a great conference.